Alright, so I'm trying a different camera here. Let's see if I can't maybe do something exciting here a little better. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this plate off and see if I can't maybe try to capture this somehow. The old oil pressure gauge. Which I'm just going to cap back on there for the moment. That opens that up quite a bit. Just checking over any plates for cracks or bends. This one has a small bend. I'll put in the press, see if I can't fix it. This one here is good all the way around. The bottom one has a slight bend in it. See if we can't maybe get that off. Yep, it's off. Figure I better get all my hardware gathered up and put into the right spot so we don't lose it. Alrighty, so the next thing I'm going to end up doing is taking off this drawbar and support plates and that plate, just to kind of open some of that up, get underneath there a little easier for servicing. And then once I drop the oil out, I'm going to remove this back plate here, because that one doesn't have a fill port on it, but if we come out and look, this one does. Pardon the wind. And I want that fill port for my rear end on it. We're also going to pull this top cover off. So you can see these two arms are pretty straight on there. So I'm going to take both of these off. So to do that, I got to pull the whole top cover off. And I still got to get this arm down here. You can see it down in there. Probably not, pretty dark. That arm down in there to put on mine for my right brake again. So this is a donor one I picked up. Pretty nice so far. I got the exhaust manifold. The guy wanted the radiator back off for show, but everything looks pretty good on it all. Tank seems to be intact, so it's kind of get after a bunch of disassembly. I'm going to pull these off too. I don't have these fenders. So there. These two side fenders there. Those are in really good shape, so a few places I'll straighten them out a little bit on the anvil, but I figure I put those on and help kind of keep some of the mud down off of it. So I'll be back in a flash. Sorry, the camera's doing something wonky, so I'm trying to figure it out. I'm removing this bolt under spring tension, so it's not a smart thing to do, but everything's so seized in here. So it could be good, could be bad. I guess we'll find out together. It wasn't as bad. really straight. I might use that one. So my other battery died, so I'm back onto my potato phone. Just doing some quick recording. I put this shaft back in. Got that cover on. I got the top cover off. I'll get something to cover that up for tonight in case we get any bad weather. I don't think we will. So I gotta get the other fender off. Get this side off because I actually found something. I need this guy down here too now. Maybe the shaft going in, we'll see. Because as I was working on mine, I found a pleasant surprise. My left brake was working, but I found when I took this apart, she started dangling. And as you can see, that's been broken for a while in there. Somebody had a Band-Aid on the outside. It was, sorry, let me look through the screen and not through the around it. So yeah, this one here is shot too, which had me thinking, wonder if I could con a friend into building something out of steel. Take this as a template and see if we can't build one out of steel instead of cast. And if that works, then maybe build two of them, and then I'll just replace them both, and that way I don't have to mess around that way again. But I got a spare on that other one. I'll get it going. I got the other side on, and I've just been monkeying around with the settings on it. So I got the parking brake on and set right now with it. This is the brake lever. This is the little parking brake thing. See if I can, I don't think I can do this with one hand. Hang on here. So, sorry. All right, this is the parking apparatus it hooks on, and it catches the dogs down in there. So I've just been messing around with the settings, and I gotta find out what they are. But I got that in, new bolt in it. Everything has some anti-seize. Haven't done the pins up yet. Everything, I'm just mocking it up. So just kind of getting everything free. I've had to use the press quite a bit for getting the pins out. Everything's just seized, and rather than beating on the pins and galling them up, it's just easier to take them to the press and press them on through. It's a unit I put together, air drive. Got a nice little button there for controlling that. And then there's a million videos out there of everybody doing these, so I'll just show them mine. I put a tray on the bottom with the wheels, that way I can kind of throw, you know, whatever I catch, pieces, parts, press blocks, anything like that. Just kind of extra little storage for it all. But works pretty good. I ended up, the top here I did bend up pretty bad. So these are brand new channel irons that I put in there. And then this is a piece of 3/8 plate in the middle, sandwiched in there, and then I just stitch weld the top and the bottom, and a 3/8 plate down underneath here that this all sits into. And then the springs actually go in. I took a hole saw and I dropped the hole saw in right in the middle where those are, so I have a big cavity inside there that those springs feed up, and then the bolts go across and hook onto it. So kind of makes a flush finish down underneath there on both sides. But figured it'd have a real hard time bending that channel iron with the 3/8 plate in the middle of it. So just one of the Harbor Freight specials, of course, and air goes into the side there. And I got this switch off of Amazon, just plumbed it on in, and makes it pretty nice for using the press. So, but all right, well, I'm gonna clean up and go ice skating with the family. So I'm doing a quick and dirty strip down of the top cover off of my donor crawler that I have out there on the trailer. Got it in here on the bench, and I'm just gonna strip it on down. And I already pulled the safety wires out, and I'm just gonna break her on down, pull all the parts and pieces off there, and then try to seal it up the best I can and put it back on that donor out there to help kind of keep it all sealed up in the bottom. So I got the cover flipped here. Got most of the stuff removed out of the bottom. Working on this. All of that is blown in fine sand and rust. Sure, it's gonna be similar underneath both of those too. This cover here is just press fit. So I get a chisel underneath there, and this will pop up in. I'm gonna try to vacuum a bunch of that on out first, so it kind of minimizes the filth. So these are all the parts I got moved out so far. So just kind of keep plugging away at it. So I got that vacuumed out. As you can see, there's quite a bit is down in there. You can kind of see the bolts down in there now. We'll get that cover popped off and keep going. All right, so I got those covers lifted up. I got this cotter pin on out and got everything freed up, pretty seized. As you can see, there's more fun stuff down in each one of those, all that stuff. So once again, I'll get it vacuumed all out and get everything cleaned up off of it. Chunks of grease, it's probably like iron in there. So, you know, get all three of these popped up off there and get the bolts out, and I should be done with this top cover. All right, so I got all three of those covers off. That one came right off because it had lots of oil and everything up on it. This one here, of course, was a dry one, and that one there was a dry one. These two took quite a bit of persuasion to get them to pop free and come off of there, but I think I got them. They're a little roughed up, but I can always put them in the lathe and touch up those edges. So, all right, I'm gonna pull those last couple bolts out of there and figure out how I'm gonna seal those up and continue on. All right, so I got the two out, but I wanted to show you that Allis Chalmers was ahead of its time back in the 30s. See, they created these anti-theft bolts like these guys right here. And these guys cannot be taken off with any kind of socket. Therefore, nobody could steal your gear shifter. Well, thankfully, Craftsman has built these that will bite on as you go against it. So that's what I'm having to tap on and use to free them up. I got 3 of them done. I just got this last one here. So it might be a bit small for that one. Looks like it still has quite a bit of shoulder left, but it's what 80 plus years of corrosion will do sitting in like that. But everything else, I sprayed the bottoms of them, so hopefully they'll spin out easy enough. But yeah, I just wanted to show you Allis Chalmers anti-theft device for their bolts back in the day. Alright, so I kind of got carried away on working. This is actually my cover off of mine. Got it all stripped down. All the parts and pieces are pulled out, and the shifters. You can see how that one there just goes off in the right field. This plate here is actually a homemade plate that they had put in, and this is a factory one, I believe. They came out of the old one, and they switched and they put that one in because they narrowed up the slots in it, the width of the slots. They narrowed them up just a little bit, not a lot. But what that did is it tapered in on the bottoms, and it made the handle stick further apart, and that was to compensate for that bent handle. So where I'm putting the two new handles back in, I'm going to use the factory one, and I'm going to set that back in there so that way it puts the handles pretty close together right in the center again. So I got a broken off bolt in there that I'm getting ready to weld out. Or I'll try my weld trick, see if that'll work. And then I'm going to take this and sandblast some of the rust out of the bottom, and then take it and wash it out really good at the pressure washer, and see if I can't get all the grease and parts and pieces off of it, and kind of get it ready for the next stages of its life. This is actually for losing my train of thought here. This is a vent breather for the transmission, but I also believe it's supposed to have a dipstick on it. I'm not quite sure. That's what that guy is sticking out there, but it recedes up in there. So I don't know if it's an actual dipstick or if it was something else. I haven't got that apart yet. I don't know if it's threaded or pressed. It just has a tiny hole in the top. Not quite sure. But I'd like to find out the thread patterns on this, because then I'd build the vent breather with the dipstick on it. So then that way I could check my transmission fluids right through that opening. So, all right, I'm going to continue the disassembly of my my two arms there, and then get everything loaded up so I can get some stuff cleaned. So this evening, as I'm working, I got my gasket material showed up, so I got that all laid out, mocked up, and got all of it punched out of there. So I think I got all the holes I need, and there's two holes there I know I don't have in, but I'm not going to worry about those. I'm not sure about that hole there. It could just be a casting flaw. I don't think it goes anywhere, but I got a lot of gaskets to make. I got two for each side of that, and I got two for here and two for there and two for this one, and I got those other two top cover plates I'm going to make too. So, but bought me a big roll of gasket material, so that's going to be my project. I'll show them when they're all lined out.